Hello, everybody. This is Joe the Lawyer, and welcome to another edition of Analog Man Cave. Today, I'm going to be talking about setting player expectations for a new campaign. It's kind of related to my last video, which was how to help 5e D&D players adjust to your OSR style old school game. This is a little bit different, though, because I wanted to really burrow down into it and get into the setting the expectations part. Now, I'll tell you what the reason for it in a second. But first, let me preface this by saying that the OSR in general is really, really welcoming. We like everybody who plays D&D. We want more players so we could have more players in our games and at cons and online and whatnot, right? We're really happy that there seems to be a spike in interest in all the OSR games and in the history of D&D lately. The same thing happened a bunch of years ago, about that, or 8 or 10 years ago. OSR was, existing at the time on the blogs mostly, and we became sort of the cool old kids. Even the industry people wanted to sort of glom off of it. Mike Merles was hired a couple of people for consultants for 5e basically when they were doing it, and OSR guys, and they wanted some old school cred. Made sense, right? And I think it did make it a better game. Now, right now, what's going on from what I could see is that if you go onto the OSR Old School Essentials Discord server, you're going to see a lot of 5e refugees, whether they're burnt out on 5e, they don't like the direction it's gone, or they don't like where it seems to be going. They're sort of checking out a 5e and checking out the OSR. And Old School Essentials is a great game. It's attracting a lot of people, so it's great. More people to take advantage of this, the more people you have to play with, right? So that's fantastic. A lot of YouTubers are taking advantage of this too. There seems to be a trend lately, kind of a little bit disturbing. There's a lot of people who are unfamiliar with the OSR, who were coming from new school games, or they read a book or something like that. They might have picked up one book of Old School Essentials or whatever, and next thing you know, they're experts on all things OSR, and they're putting YouTube videos out and what to do, right? So the one that one guy is Johnny, call him Johnny-come-lately. He came up with something called the lost key to understanding old school D&D. Dude, just because you never knew it doesn't mean the damn key was lost. We'd all still been using it. You could have just asked us for the freaking key, man. But the real thing that set me off to do this video was the other day. I was watching two guys on a YouTube show, and they said they just read Old School Essentials for the first time, and they decided to explain to everyone out there, all their audience, what old school games are all about. The thing was, I mean, kudos for jumping in and trying to figure it out, but they didn't have a clue. And they came at it, understandably, from a 5th edition point of view. But the real problem was that what they said is setting up unrealistic expectations in players, especially people coming from 5e. I'll tell you what they said, but brace yourselves. Anybody who's like an OSR guy, you might want to get a pillow to scream in or punch or something. They said, all PCs are entitled to an endgame perk. What the? They're talking about castles and followers. I mean, at 9th level, whatever, and you get your castle and you get it. And next thing you know, people come walking up. I know. What the hell? So here's the thing. First rule of the OSR. You're not entitled to jack nor shit. Just because it says something in the book doesn't mean you get it. All right? That's why I figured I'd do this video specifically on setting player expectations. It's related, like I said, to the prior video, how to help 5e D&D players adjust to your OSR style old school game. But it goes into more detail about a few specific things related to expectations. Now, the expectations of the players, I figure you could break it down into 3 parts: campaign, adventures, and their PCs in particular. So, I like to drill down from high to low. So let's start with the campaign. All right. OSR campaigns, old school campaigns, are adventures rather than heroic. Now, 5e is heroic by design. They call it hero, hero, hero. If you look at the AD&D Player's Handbook, the word hero or heroic was not mentioned once, I don't think. So that gives you an idea of what we're talking about here. Now, 5th edition is all about heroism, and it starts with this dude and this stupid-ass cat. Okay, so you drizzt it. You know what I'm talking about. That pretty much sums everything up, all right? All about the superhero dude. Now, old school is different, right? And it comes down to influences. And I get that many people with 5th edition have different influences than I did or that we did back in the day. They have manga and different kinds of superheroes and different heroes and novels, and everything is taken a different twist. But in order to really understand the OSR, the old school play, I think you should get into what influenced it and what was the back and forth going on back in the day with these cultural influences. So if you look at it, it's Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser by Fritz Leiber, okay? It's Conan the Barbarian, either the book or the first or second movie. It's Elric and Melniboné. He's basically an albino guy with no health who has a sword named the Stormbringer that basically just takes the souls and feeds him life. He hates it, but he's stuck with it because it's the only way he can survive, right? So it's that sort of thing. It's Metallica, all right, before they cut the damn hair. It's the Conan the Destroyer movie, as I showed in the first screen there. It's Zeppelin in 1973 at the Continental Hyatt House, otherwise known as the Riot House. All right, it's the movie Tombstone with Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. If you haven't seen that, please do. It's The Unforgiven with Clint freaking Eastwood. I mean, look at that picture. That says it all right there. That's awesome. All right, you got the Magnificent Seven. Badass. The Wild Bunch. That's the. I got a good gift there, or GIF, whatever you want to call it. Look at that guy. That's it right there. All right. It's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. It's Excalibur. It's the movie Heavy Metal. Maybe the magazine back in the day, but the old one from 1981, not the new movie that came out in 2000. Where that's just crap. All right. So you get the vibe I'm throwing out here. Please watch the movies, read those books, and listen to old Metallica. Iron Maiden works too. It's Iron Maiden. Now, anybody who's not heard of them, they're awesome. They're badass. And just before I did this video, I was listening to Fear of the Dark as I put together all the notes, just getting the right mindset. Okay. So there's a style difference in old school games. It's the Wild West versus the big city. It's the Dark Ages as compared to the peace of the Roman Empire, the Pax Romana, I think it was called. It's might versus right versus an orderly rule with judges and juries and all that. It's community voting rather than elected politicians. It's creepy ass weird shit. It doesn't always fit a system mechanic. It's definitely not balanced. Why can that spider split itself into two and then recombine? That's not a spell I've seen before. Is it arcane? Is it divine? What ability is it? I'm only third level. It's too powerful for me. That's unbalanced. That's so not fair. I should be able to beat everything I encounter. You're a mean DM. Wah. Cry me a river. Tough shit. Fight it or run. Again, I'm going to say one thing 3 times. Life isn't fair. Life isn't fair. And guess what? Life isn't fair. You get no trophies for showing up in the old school, all right? There are no higher authorities to appeal to. There's no friendly wizards to identify your magic items and send you on quests like Elminster. I hate Elminster and everything that stupid-ass Elminster trope has done to D&D, all right? There's no organizations like the Harpers. There's nothing like the Lord's Alliance. What we got here is a ref versus a DM comparison, all right? A referee is impartial. The referee sets out the things in the sandbox, lets the players roam around. He then calls balls and strikes as they explore and interact with stuff. A strikeout means you die, all right? And there's an impartiality thing. The players do stuff, the sandbox changes, and the players have a new set of things to deal with the next session. DMs nowadays, it seems to come to mean like the master of the story and the master of the fates of the PCs. No. A good DM acts as a ref. The PCs are the masters of their own fate. The story comes as the players do stuff. It emerges. It's called emergent storytelling for a reason. All right. There is no predetermined ending. Like when you have when you buy a published adventure that's going to take your PCs from level 1 through level 15, blah, blah, blah. It's just a damn railroad. All the adventures you go on don't lead to some massive culmination that saves the world. You don't know the end of the campaign at the beginning. Most likely the DM has no idea either. He's just going from month to month, year to year, day to day within his campaign's history and story, okay? So speaking of adventures, a couple of things to consider for the second stage of this. Is it a meat grinder? All right. Is it an exploration? The DM may or may not tell you these things, but keep in mind that you may have exploration or meat grinders that may not make sense, okay, to you at the beginning, but it may tie in or it may not. You don't know. All right. So a meat grinder is Tomb of Horrors. A meat grinder, basically, you go in there and hopefully you get out alive. I can't stand them personally. I'd rather get into the exploration things. And it's not always combat. It's not like 1 room, 2 room, 3 rooms. That means 3 fights. No, it's exploration. It's finding things. Okay. Is the other thing? Is it a mega dungeon, or is it a 5-room adventure, a 5-room dungeon sort of a thing? Up to the DM, but you may get both there. Do the adventures tie together? Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes things link up, sometimes they don't. All right. One old bad trope about the D&D old school adventures is that they make no sense. The rooms, the dungeons are stupid. I agree. This is a dumb dungeon. This is stupid. This dungeon here you're looking at on the screen. It makes no sense. Who the hell would make something like that? I mean, just what we did. We had that much space on the graph paper, so we filled it in because hey, why waste graph paper, right? But where the hell is the orc going to cook his food and take a shit in there? You know, where's the water supply? What is this? It makes no sense whatsoever. So you're not going to see too much of this. And the crappy DMs who think old school equals a stupid dungeon like this, just run away from them. That's dumb. Okay. The other thing you might get though is random encounters like in the forest or something like that. Now, does it make sense? Maybe, maybe not. Why would the hobgoblins and bugbears be living near each other next to giant spiders? Who knows? Doesn't make sense. Now, here's one thing. There's two schools of this, right? Some people do random encounters straight up, and they don't have anything written out in their setting until the random encounters tell them what's going to be in their setting, and they do sort of an emergent campaign, emergent setting development. So they say, okay, there's spiders here and there's half orcs over there. They're close to each other. Maybe there's an alliance. Maybe the half orcs or the orcs have to feed the spiders one victim a week, and that's why the orcs are attacking you. And therefore, when you get attacked, you get fed to the spider, and your companions might have to save you from the spider because they're all, that's an emergent setting development. And that's fine. That's one way of doing it. As you know, if you listen to my other videos, I don't do it like that. I write everything out. I figure it all out. Everything has to make sense ahead of time. And from then I could riff off of different things. Some people like to riff on the granular level. Like I like to figure out the big level and then riff within the granular level. So it's just a different style. Okay. That's all it is. It's a different style. I mean, the other thing to think about too is during adventures is death is definitely easier. I'll talk more about that later. So you just got to watch out. There is zero expectations. Again, I'll get into this later, but there's zero expectations you should have of any balanced encounter. Sometimes you see the thing and fight it. Sometimes it's one goblin, and sometimes it's one Tarrasque. Sometimes you got to run. All right, which is not a bad thing because look at this. This is the classic cover. They're looking out for the monster, trying to hope the thing doesn't come. They're not looking to fight it necessarily, as the thief pulls the eyeball out, the gem out of the stupid ass demon up there. So that's the goal, because gold for XP means that it's more valuable to level up to get the gold than to kill the thing. All right. So that's another reason you shouldn't think, going back to my other video, that you need to have super powerful characters so they can all fight. And why can't my thief do things in combat? Why can't my magic user do things in combat? Wah, shut up. It's because not everything is about combat in the old school. Okay. The other thing you're not going to necessarily see is tiers of adventure where you start as like local heroes and then heroes of the realm and then masters of the realm and then masters of the world. In 5e, they break that out. That may not be here at all. I mean, at 10th level, you're looking at, a guy got considered out, you're probably retired. Then it'll take a million years in real time to get there because of the XP expectations. And he'll have enough gold and wealth and this and that, he might retire. But you never know. At that point, are they masters of the realm, masters of the world? Who knows? It's up to the campaign. Everything is different, campaign to campaign. So don't have any sort of expectations. I'll leave this picture up for a bit because I want to talk about one important thing. A real big difference, I think. There's no winning or losing an adventure, all right? If you survived it, the dungeon, the encounter, whatever the hell it is, then you won. If the DM says you lost, it often, but not always, means that they needed you to win, whatever that win means in their eyes, in order for their story to progress that they had in their head. So they wanted it to progress a certain way. Old school DMs, they don't really care that much. Actions, lack of actions, they all have consequences, right? The players are going to reap the consequences of their actions one way or the other. It's the play that's the fun part, for me at least, and I like a lot of old school DMs and players. They just like the play. We don't want to win this, beat that, and get to the next thing, or else if we didn't win this, then we can't get to that thing, or we're not going to be powerful enough to beat the next challenge. No, it's not like that. You win or lose that adventure, who cares? Unless you die. That's how you really lose. That's how you know you lost, when you're dead. Unless you're dying, that it's the play that's the fun part. You deal with the consequences of things, and that's more fun often than if things went the right way, or if things went the way the DM thought they would, or the DM planned on them happening. A good DM is going to impartially figure out the consequences of a player's actions within the adventure and change up the sandbox pieces. The player is going to have a different set of challenges than DM expected before the adventure went sideways or whatever. Who cares? Winning the adventure so you can win the campaign, meaning you need to get to where the DM wants you to get to. That's a new school thing. It started with Dragonlance. It went on to steroids with Pathfinder and other stupid-ass adventure paths. And that the mentality just continued with 5th edition. You won't see much of the you won or you lost this adventure with old school games. It doesn't matter to many of us really at all. Hopefully, now I say this hopefully because I mess this up sometimes. Hopefully, You won't see much of the DM suggesting things, either in his own voice or through an NPC to keep you on track. They may ask stuff to figure out, what you're doing or something like that, so we could prep for the next session or the next game session. But you might have an NPC suggest stuff to create a moral dilemma, which is always fun. Or you might have the NPC say stuff to throw the players off and confuse the crap out of them, which is even more fun. But what they won't do is say things to keep you on the track, because a track implies a railroad. Old school is about sandboxes and impartial refs calling balls and strikes. Now, I say hopefully because I fail at this sometimes. I admit it. Often it comes from a place of me sitting there like, I can't believe these fucking idiots. They're missing the big picture here. They're not putting together this clear puzzle piece of this one and this one that they got in these two places and coming to this big realization. What the hell? And then I'll hint at something. It's not so much as a trying to railroad them. I'm just more like, crap, man, you missed the whole point of the thing, which is probably my fault. And so I throw out a hint in there or something like that. I misjudged their listening skills, or maybe they were drinking or taking a leak when I said, who knows, right? So I'll hint at something and I'll have an NPC say it, or I might say it in my own voice. I'll blurt out something like, keep in mind what the old witch said 6 sessions ago as you make this decision. And that's what I'll do, and I screw it up. But the best DMs, the really good ones, the best ones I played with, people like Rob Connolly from the Bat in the Attic blog and Tim Shorts at the Gothridge Manor blog, they never do that shit. They don't care, especially Tim. Tim lets you hang, man. Motherfucker. Anyway, like I said, I'm still learning. All of us are. I do a lot less of this, this kind of crap this year than I did last year. And next year, I'm going to hopefully do less of it than I did this year, right? So that's the thing, all right? So you just got to get better. Everybody screws up. Just try to do better next time, all right? Next, lastly, the PCs and the expectations. What's the PC's place in the world? Better to look at yourself rather as a destiny, as a person with a destiny and a pre-planned conclusion to your life, than you're more like a pioneer in the Old West, okay? You have no destiny except what you carve out for yourself. Adventurers, they work hard, they play hard, and that's their life, right? Like this dude. Listen, playing hard right there. You blow it on wine, women, and song, but be sure to save some money for that keep at 9th level. You're not entitled to the keep. You must pay to build the damn thing. So save your cash in a safe place where thieves or other adventuring groups won't steal it from you. And no, banks were not that common back in the day for regular people in the medieval times. People buried the crap in a bag under a rock in their yard or something. And if you somehow managed to get this thing saved up or built without being attacked and killed by jealous neighboring powers, 60 crossbowmen and 40 infantry troops just don't show up at the door. You got to go out and recruit them somehow within the scope of the campaign, which might be difficult because other powers in the area, they may not like that very much. You're taking their men or men that they might potentially be able to hire, okay? Here's another huge thing for players. Your backstory is for you. It has nothing to do with the DM or the campaign. It's you. It's something that helps you get in the mindset of your PC. It's not going to lead to plot hooks or some grand destiny. Have zero expectation it will ever be used by the DM for anything. I always tell my players, write whatever the hell you want, okay? It just can't be anything that makes the other PCs do a single thing, like save your sister from the evil warlord. Also, it can't be anything that makes assumptions about my world, campaign setting, or anything like that, or changes anything, all right, within it. So honestly, it's just easier to be the third son of a farmer who has his father's old dagger and a leather shirt and a javelin he made himself and wants to go out and make his place in the world, okay? Now, contrary to popular belief, old school players, they do care about their PCs, but they care about them for what they accomplished over their long lives. Not because of this 15-page fantasy fiction backstory crap that they wrote to make them the bestest PC ever, to quote Overlord Doomcock. All hail Doomcock, by the way. All right? So yeah, you're going to die more often in old school games, all right? But rather than say it's more deadly due to a lack of death saves and all the 1,000,001 ways 5e PCs can heal up and stay alive, let's just say it's less forgiving of mistakes. Player wits and outside-the-box thinking are the keys to survival, not what's written on your character sheet. Pulling a MacGyver saves the day more often, way more often in old school games than that +1 sword or whatever else magical doodad you got, okay? It's what you do that matters. It's the classic hero's journey. You don't start as a hero. You might become Batman, maybe, after a long career of adventuring. You don't start as Superman, that's like 5e does. You don't end up as Superman. You don't even start as Batman, all right? You start as Bruce Wayne with no money, and virtually zero skills. All right. So imagine Bruce Wayne was poor and lived in the alley like a bum. That's where you're starting here. Okay. Yeah, I just have this burning desire to go out and take from the world what the hell the world owes you, because damn it, that's what adventurers do. Okay. And that's the problem with movies today. The hero starts out as the hero. Didn't earn a damn thing, just have to start out with it. But that's a whole other rant. Okay. So don't start out trying to be a hero. Start out trying to make a buck with your rusty dagger and your crappy ass half broken crossbow and 4 bolts that you have to your name. Okay. You start with a goal and the will to attain that goal or to die trying. Nothing will be given to you. You have to earn every last copper by blood, yours, theirs, and everyone's. Okay. And someday you might turn out like this. Johnny Drama. Victory. Anybody watch Entourage? Anyway, that's the whole show, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Now, please, if you like it, subscribe, click the like button there, and leave a comment. It helps. I respond to every single comment you guys put in YouTube, and most of them are over on Facebook and everywhere else. I post links to this. So please do subscribe and comment. I like talking to everybody. To me, that's the best part. All right, guys, and don't forget to check out the Tanker's Tavern Substack. A lot of old school guys doing videos, and we got them all together in some one email that goes out to you, so you can see the newest videos of the week. That the best ones that we all put out. So check that out too. All the links are below. All right, thank you very much for listening, guys, and have a great day.